Stingless bee honey. Here we can see raw, organic, unfiltered stingless bee honey. So, and for stingless bee, we have to do filtration like twice or thrice. So, here we are going to show you how we filter the stingless bee honey. As we can see, it's very thicker because the bee pollen is mixed with this in this stingless bee honey. So we need to segregate this bee pollen from the stingless bee. As we can see, a water content is also there. We cannot store bee pollen with stingless bee for a long time. Properly filtered honey we can store for a long life. It has a long shelf life, more than 3 to 4 years. But if bee pollen is mixed inside the honey, we cannot store for a long time. Now, this is the raw honey, unfiltered honey, and we need to filter this honey through this. It has a muslin cloth inside, so all the tiny particles, which is the pollen or the wax, all the tiny particles will be inside the sieve, and only the honey which will get. Either you can use a muslin cloth. If you don't have the sieve, you can use any muslin cloth in a double layer. This filtering process we need to do 3 to 4 times. And then after filtration, we need to cover this honey with any cotton cloth. We can see a tiny particles of pollen and wax on top of this honey. Even in this bottle, it will see clearly, we can see 2 layers, like below it's very light and above a dark color we can see. It means all the wax and pollen has been collected on top of the bottle and the honey has settled down below. So this type of honey we cannot store for a long time. Otherwise, if it has filtered properly without bee wax and bee pollen, we can store this honey for 6 to 7 months. Here we can see clearly with the naked eyes that bee pollen and wax it's small tiny particles of bee wax and pollen we can see here. So we need to take a muslin cloth after doing the filtration with the sieve. Again we have to do a filtration with this muslin cloth, and be careful when you are using this cloth for honey. So as you can use only for honey and no other purpose, you can use this cloth. As stingless bee honey we are getting very less in quantity, so we cannot keep that honey for a long time and we can filter all together. No, how much quantity you're getting in a time, at that time itself you need to store it properly. And be careful if you can see any holes in the cloth. Once we put the cloth, we can tighten up the cloth around the vessels so that it should not go down, and slowly we have to drop the honey liquid. And be careful when you're pouring the honey liquid in the cloth. Please don't use the spoon or any finger to stir the honey. Let it settle down by itself. Don't stir, be patient. As we can see, slowly the honey is getting settled down, and we can see on the top the bee pollen and the tiny particles of bee pollen and wax. See, clearly we can see the bee wax and bee pollen is on the top of the cloth. Do not stir with the spoon. Now again we can pour all honey. Be patient. We can pour slowly. A small amount of quantity we can pour the honey. So easily it will get settled down. We have to do this filtration around 3 to 4 times. Then only we can get only the clear honey. Otherwise bee pollen or bee wax is going to be get mixed in the honey. So which is good for the health, but it's not good for the allergic person. Those who are allergic to the plants or bees, it's not good for them. But overall, if those who don't have any allergy, they can use this honey with the pollen. It's not an issue. After settling down, cover the vessel with a cotton cloth tightly and keep the honey vessel under the sun for 1 day, and after that store it in a clean bottle so that you can use for a long time. You can use this honey for more than 2 to 3 years, more than 5 years if it's stored properly.